This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode. We are at the Yelahanka Air Base, just a short distance from Bangalore. Behind me, an American F-16 fighter aircraft. I have a very special sortie coming up. I'll get an opportunity to fly this aircraft along with a test pilot from Lockheed Martin. A dream come true for Ratan Tata, a sortie on a supersonic American F-16 fighter. Tata's flight would last approximately 25 minutes and would see Ratan Tata being put through maneuvers like rolls and a few hard turns. Speaking to NDTV shortly after his flight, Tata described his experiences.
It's a terrific airplane, and for someone who's not used to it, you end up feeling very timid in whatever you tried to do when I was flying the plane. And we did a few things with where the commander took over and did some rolls, and all of it was very exciting. We went down to around 500 feet of the deck and flew around the topography, and it's just unbelievable because you just climb over a hill and come down, turn on your side or turn over. It's just an unbelievable experience.
The Lockheed Martin pilot who had the privilege of flying Mr. Tata had this to say.
Oh, I think he was thrilled with the flight, and I was very glad to fly him. I think the high point of the flight was when we flew down at lower altitudes. We flew 500 feet above the ground and about 600 knots, where you get a real feel for just how fast this plane can go.
For the moment, however, Ratan Tata has ruled out investing in the Indian aviation sector.
Right now, I think the civil aviation sector is very crowded, but aviation will always be an area that attracts me, and when an appropriate possibility or opportunity comes along, I will of course be very keen to look at that as a possible sector.
Mr. Tata, though, is not quite through flying fighter jets. Tomorrow he's supposed to fly a sortie on a Boeing F-18. At the Yelahanka Air Base in Bangalore with camera person Vinu Subaya, Vishnu Shom for NDTV. But that wasn't enough for Tata, who went on to fly an F-18 Super Hornet manufactured by Boeing the very next day. It would have been a fabulous experience for Tata, who's a pilot himself, to get a feel for a very different aircraft. The F-18 is considerably larger than the F-16 and is used by the American forces off their aircraft carriers as well. Tata would have gone into his F-18 sortie after thinking through just what it is that he wanted to do. And the pilots who flew him on the jet told us that they'd let the Tata chairman do pretty much what he wanted. For Ratan Tata, flying fast jets like the F-16 and F-18 has been a dream come true. But for the two American companies that flew him on their fast jets, it's been a marketing exercise. Getting perhaps India's best-known businessman on board made a lot of sense. So what is it like to fly on a high-performance jet like an F-16? Lockheed Martin, the manufacturers of the jet, said that they'd put me up on one. Shortly before the flight, I spoke to one of their test pilots. Let's just find out a little bit more about this aircraft and why so many American companies are so keen on investing in India in a big way. Commander Paul Randall joins us. He's a test pilot on the F-16. Thanks very much, Commander, for being with us. We've all heard about the F-16. What can it really do, and why would India be interested in the aircraft?
Well, the F-16 is a multi-role affordable fighter. It's designed to do a lot of missions and do a lot of missions very well in an affordable way. We believe that this airplane is something that the Air Force can learn quickly and provide the sensors that we need to fulfill your mission requirements.
And how long have you been flying this aircraft?
I've been flying this airplane for about 4 years.
And it's seen extensive combat service. That's one of the defining features of the F-16. It continues to be used even today as we speak in countries like Iraq.
That's right. The airplane that we're going to fly today is about 3,500 hours. It came directly from combat in Iraq. So we'll get a chance to fly not an airplane that's been prepared for an air show, but an airplane that came right out of Iraq and is a real combat airplane.
Paul Randall is one of the most experienced American test pilots on the F-16. Before the flight, Randall, who goes by the call sign Bear, gives me a brief of some of the controls of the cockpit of the F-16.
And then we can control gain on the sensors here, some things like that, chaff flare, all that stuff. All that stuff set up on the hands-on throttle and stick, the whole task controls right there.
With the briefing done, it's time to strap in and go for what could be the ride of a lifetime. We taxi out to the runway and get set for a high-velocity takeoff. My flight would include several rolls and hard maneuvers. We would also get a chance to check out some of the jet systems. It's difficult to explain just what a takeoff in a high-performance fighter plane feels like. You get thrown to the back of your seat as the jet fighter roars across the runway and then takes off. In this case, it went into a vertical maneuver. It's all very exhilarating stuff. Just a few years back, it would have been unthinkable to see an American F-16 in India. This is really a sign of the changing political equation between India and the United States. There's been a huge turnaround in the relationship between the two countries. That's what's enabled America to try and sell its planes to India. That's pretty much the reason why I got to fly this sortie today. I return with a silly grin on my face. One of the big plus points of being a journalist is that sometimes, just sometimes, you can vicariously live out your dreams. One of my dreams has always been to be in a fighter plane, and I've had the opportunity of doing this a couple of times, but flying on an F-16 has always been a dream of mine, and getting this opportunity today was absolutely incredible. We managed to pull more than 8 Gs and get a real feel for what it is to be a fighter pilot. At Aero India, the Russians made the world debut of the MiG-35, a sign of just how important India is seen to be a market for them. The prototype MiG-35 is based on the MiG-29, a jet which the Indian Air Force has been operating from the mid-80s. But everything that's inside the jet is completely new. A new radar, new avionics, new weapons, and just about everything else as well. I would be the first non-Russian to be given a flight on this aircraft. It would be an opportunity for the Russians to showcase some of the new technology which they've developed for this jet. The ride, in a sense, would be quite similar to the F-16 sortie. Lots of high G turns, loops, and also maneuvers which only Russian jets like the MiG-35 can pull off. Perhaps more than any of the competitors for this deal, MiG will be looking out to win the Indian competition to ensure that in the long run, its future is secure. From the Aero India 2007 event in Bangalore, we're going to take a short break and return with more of the Aero India experience.